Welcome. In front of me is a POCO F8 Pro, and today I'll show you how you can record a screen on this device. So, to get started, you will want to swipe down from the top right side of the screen like so. This brings down all the toggles, which one of them should hopefully be the screen recorder. It will look like this right here. But if you don't see this icon anywhere here, you can tap on the edit at the bottom and hopefully, not hopefully, but definitely find it somewhere in here. When you see the screen recorder here, you can just click on the plus and you can see it would get added. Click on the check mark and you see it's now added. Anyway, from here, we can either tap on it to start recording or just bring up the overlay first, or we can hold it and this takes us to the settings. I do recommend at least checking this once. Some of these settings in here I would recommend changing. So we have things like the video resolution. This is already set to the max, so that's pretty good. Then we have video quality at 16 megabits right here. It's actually a pretty good option. You can increase it to maybe 24. I don't recommend going anything above that. It would just be kind of diminishing returns, and it would be taking more space, as in storage, on your device per minute of recording, or even per second, as this is literally how much it's going to be taking, 16 megabytes per single second. So the higher it is, obviously the more storage it will require. Now, I don't also recommend changing it to the lowest one, as this will introduce artifacting. So sometimes you probably already encountered this, maybe watching like movies or things, let's just say online. You've probably seen this kind of effect where you have an image and it just starts to have these like square areas, which are just different shade of color, just look a little bit weird. That's kind of what low bitrate here would imply. So you want to find the one that basically gives you the nice quality while still having the lowest amount of space taken. And just to add this here, the best way you can see this is in motion. So when you're scrolling from side to side or have any kind of game running, this will be visible very clearly when the image is moving. And the moment it stops, it will then have this kind of moment to catch up and gain sharpness. But that also will be only visible when you're playing back the video, not while you're recording it. Anyway, next we have orientation. You can select whichever one you want. We have auto, portrait and landscape. Now, depending on auto, depending on how you start recording, this is what the video will be locked to. So if you start in portrait, and you switch to landscape, the video will be in portrait, even though your video switched to landscape, and it will look a little bit weird. I'm actually going to showcase this while recording, just so you can see what I mean. And lastly, or actually not lastly, but second last option is the sound. We have system, microphone, none, or both. Select whichever one you want. And the last and most important one is the frame rate. Now we do have the option to select up to 90 frames per second. I don't recommend changing it to that. 60 will be the best option right here. It's what literally like every platform uses, things like Netflix, YouTube, and so on. So if you're planning to use that, for instance, for YouTube, whatever you're recording, then recording above 60 is counterproductive. It's not like you're going to be able to showcase this in a video. So 60 is basically the sweet spot. Anyway, let's close this up. Find this toggle once more and simply tap on it. And you can see it brings up this overlay right here. Now this overlay won't be visible in the recording. It's only visible on your screen right now, but when you're playing it back, this is not visible. Now we have the record button, folder, which takes us to the screen recordings, settings, which we already accessed, and the close option. So let's start recording. Now, there's also one more thing that I want to showcase here, which is going to be this fantastic piece of shit, Netflix. Oh, well, never mind, I guess I can't because I don't have internet. So you know what, there should be also Spotify. So I do want to point out, you have a login page right here. It's clearly visible. I'm going to close the recording. And one more thing that I want to show is the landscape kind of feature. So, no thanks. There we go. We have portrait. Switch to landscape. And let's switch back. There we go. Now I'm going to stop the recording by interacting with this overlay and clicking on the square. This will save the screen recording automatically to the gallery or to your device. And you can find the recording in your gallery and in the Photos application. Now I will be using Gallery as this is the more like default app for this phone. It's from Xiaomi and it's also designed better to deal with photos or screen recordings and screenshots. So let's open that up. And you can see your screen recordings will appear in the Photos tab right here. So it's going to be mixed up with all the photos, videos, screenshots, screen recordings, downloaded images, memes, and anything else that you have on your device. So what I recommend doing later on, once you have a little bit more media than I do, with me just having only like 3 images, what you want to do is click on the second tab right here, navigate to an album called Screenshots and Screen Recordings, and by default you would be located in the Screenshots tab, so make sure you switch the second one right here, and you can see here is my screen recording. Now, what you're about to see is obviously the screen recording, but also what I tried to show with the Netflix and Spotify is a feature of Android which prevents screen recordings from being able to see the screen and applications that just decide to block it. I want to point out that I don't have Netflix account. Never did, never agreed to terms of service or use, and it can do that. Now, here's what I was referring to, what I tried to show with Netflix. There was a login page right here, as you probably remember, which isn't visible in the screen recording. Now, this is the same thing for Netflix. So, without actually owning an account, giving it permission, and even installing this application, I find this to be absolutely unacceptable that some dogshit application can alter how your device operates without your permission or even a question. Like, you can go F yourself, Netflix, you're planning to do that. And for people that want to record their screen and not have some corporation basically dictate what you can do without your permission, and you like having control over things, then you can just uninstall that piece of shit, which I'm going to go back to this in a second. Let's find that absolute abhorrent dog shit and put it where it belongs, which is in the fucking trash. Same thing goes with the Spotify. Wait, where is this? Am I blind? Oh, there it is. Spotify. Boom. Know your place. So that's what I recommend doing, and there are alternatives to this which basically work just fine, or relatively fine considering they're free. You have things like the Cloud Stream, and let me just wait for it to load. And here you can see once you add a repository, because this in itself doesn't really have anything here. So once you add a repository, which I'm using SoraStream, you can see we have things like upcoming movies, Korean shows, anime, and let's continue up actually. So we have top rated, Peacock, Paramount, HBO, Apple, Hulu, Disney, Amazon, Netflix, and Airing Today, and so on. So you can see there's a shit ton of things to pick from, and the application works relatively fine considering it's all free in there, and it's also not piracy, just to put that out there. The application itself works like a web browser would for searching for a website, though it's like when you set a website as your home page. So that's kind of how this would work. So you need to first have a repository, or aka website, that you add that is going to be pulling this information from. Fantastic thing to just kind of ditch Netflix. Anyway, so here's the, like I mentioned, the portrait. So you can see it goes from basically filling the screen to being like this. So right now you can see it's taking literally a fraction of the screen. Now what it does is adds black bars right here and here, because previously the video is still in the portrait orientation, but it's trying to keep the content that is now landscape again in the same orientation, which is the portrait. So it just flips it over along and adds black bars on the top and bottom. So you have a lot of space wasted on both top and bottom of the recording. Now the moment you close this, it automatically snaps back to this. So the video is always going to be in portrait, which is what I started with. So anyway, with that being said, hopefully you found this very helpful, and if you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.